The X-Men are declared dead. Who will save them? Hello and welcome to a Smurd P video, and I'm finally catching up with Uncanny X-Men issue 11. And we got Cyclops down there, clearly mourning, etc. And then we've got the 90s X-Men there and Professor Xavier in the background. So very, very cool cover. Even dig Storm's hair, even though that's not what it looked like in the 90s. And it starts off quite simple. Every X-Men story is the same. So it pretty much starts off with that the mutants, all mutants deserve to be happy and live a normal life, and that's what they want to do. They get knocked down, they get hurt, etc. However, this one seems different. So pretty much that there's a reporter just talking about the vaccine being passed, and basically they're saying this is the last X-Men story. There's the original 5, and this story is called This Is Forever Part 1. And we got the writers, the artists, the color artists, the artist, Wolverine Returns. Got the last Blindfold story. Letterers, cover artists. Wow, variant cover artists. There was quite a few. So some kids are graffitiing the original X-Men statues outside Worthington's. Meanwhile, Cyclops just simply walks up to these kids, all mysterious and stuff, and Cyclops is dead, even though he's not, because he's resurrected in the recent annual. And he goes to this coffee shop quite regularly because the lady knows him, and he is searching for Sanky. He's got this whole rugged look on him. I wish they had kept his, grown his hair out like they did in around the Uncanny X-Men 500, because that looked pretty badass. I like that long hair Cyclops. It didn't last very long. So a young woman is being attacked, which is the normal way a story starts. So Cyclops steps in and says, well, it is my business if it's a mutant. And he gives them an opportunity to run. They don't take it. They give him a little smash of glass around the head. And Cyclops gets up and kicks some butt. And we soon learn that the young lady is none other than Blindfold. And they're all dead, apparently. As communicates in a cryptic language. Okay, so Blindfold says that they're all dead, and even the mistakes that they make now follows them into death, etc., etc. And then she says she's going to pay for the window, and Scott Summers throws him and through the window, which is the usual way Ruth would exit a story. So Scott goes to see Ben Urich at the Daily Bugle, and he wants Ben's help in finding the X-Men. So pretty much Ben says, you probably were better off dead rather than people knowing you're alive. There's a lot of hatred towards you as Angry Man, which is quite an interesting phase. And he said they had a look, and well, the X-Men are, they're dead. They're nowhere. Okay, so Cyclops is off getting drunk, which never ends well. And he finally hits a bottle, so he's clearly not been hitting very well. Last time he got drunk, he couldn't even fire his optics for a while. And back in New X-Men. So Jamie pops up. So Sankey says, you doing okay here, boss? So I can only reference that he was working with him on Mer Island when the Mpox got them, basically. So they clearly built some bridges, because during the X Factor run and Cyclops is leading the X-Men run, they kind of, Jamie was kind of a bit of a rebel towards Cyclops. So pretty much Cyclops is asking for Mobile Man's help, as you would expect him to do with the detective. And pretty much he says, no promises, and, could you use some cash and don't spend it all in one place, son, which is kind of strange. Some strange phrases in this story so far. But it's interesting, different. I like it. Okay, so as you can imagine, Cyclops approaches the sewers to find out what's going, I guess, down there. And Callisto says, where were you? Where were the X-Men? Etc. And he was like, well, I was dead. pretty much. And, you know, she kind of finds it amusing, and he's like, well, what's going down here? And it seems like he's just taking a piss, which Chamber notices quite quickly. And he's, well, I don't think they ever really spent much time together in any form before now. Chamber was rarely an X-Man, and when he was in the background just as a extra character, etc. for show. And he said, well, you know, you do your whole war against the Avengers, against the Inhumans, and then you drop dead and you leave us all here, and then your son rocks up, which is odd because X-Man is not this Cyclops' son. He's Cyclops' son from the Age of Apocalypse. So, you know, there were some weird things going on here. Lots of weird things, weird sounds, and basically Chamber just tells him, well, you can sit there. He just tells him to pee off. In a nice way, of course. So here we're seeing a mutant outrage, I guess, school being ripped to pieces when Jamie finds his Cyclops drinking his cocoa out in the open like it's normal. And clearly saying Jamie Prime's a bit paranoid, so he's got lots of dupes to protect him in case he tries saying Cyclops. Oh, like, why would I do that? But it's not just him that he's worried about. He's got mutant tattooed on his face, like he got back in Messiah Complex, which is kind of cool. I kind of dig it. It was always something. Anyway, he's found Blindfold, and he says that Chamber kind of hates Cyclops. I guess just because of the war. Nothing else, I guess, really. And he says, leave me alone. And, well, leave the girl alone if you know, as a vice. So, interesting stuff, I guess. Okay, so nothing good ever happens when Scott Summers is involved, and we find Blindfold, what clearly looks like naked, with slit wrists. This is forever, which is kind of shocking. Now, did she do it, or did somebody else do it? Meanwhile, the future is human, and Miss Presto is basically saying that we haven't gone far enough with the vaccine, and we should be going further for the sake of humanity. Meanwhile, Scott Summers is in the crowd, and he says, what do you say to the families whose mutant children have been killed by the government? And this is what she's got to say. So, it's all a tack at a rally, and as you can imagine, Scott loses his glasses. You'd think he'd be perhaps a bit smarter by now. Anyway, stay away from me. And here's Captain America. Straight in the fray. Now, I absolutely love this scene. So he says, welcome back. Sorry, it's not under better circumstances. And Scott's pretty much, well, there's no real better circumstances for me and my people. And Captain America's like, these are trying times. And he reminds him what he says, that, you know, you regret not doing more for mutants. And, you know, Scott's back alive, and he's saying, well, you've not done anything whatsoever since I've been gone. So all your crap and hypocrites, damn it, I can't say the right word. He's absolute hypocrite during the Avengers versus X-Men War interfering in stuff that he's not even interested, because after that he just went back to his old Captain America flag and did nothing for mutants after that. After his whole big spiel that Cyclops was wrong, Cyclops did this, Cyclops did that. So Captain kind of apologizes, says, and what did you expect to happen in this sort of crowd, etc., surrounded by police snipers? It's basically suicide. And he's like, let's go somewhere and talk. And Scott's like, hey, yeah. And he's like, you don't want the camera to see this? And Scott's like, hey, do you want the real story? Unedited? So pretty much this is like the Optimus Prime message out to the universe, calling for all Autobots to come to Earth. Basically, he says, come home to where the Xavier Institute started. Now this is, it's just so much, it feels like we've gone back to sort of Messiah war times, because all of a sudden we're seeing Donald Pierce and the Reavers, the Purifiers, the Sapien of League are back. And it's, you know, it all feels like that decimation time. I loved that period for the X-Men. not that the suffering, but it was just so perfect. Everything that happened, new X-Men, all new X-Men, the Decimation series, the Uncanny X-Men, all those series were brilliant leading up to Messiah War. So they've all come for the last X-Men, and all you hear is "He Ain't Alone," and that beautiful sound, even though it's on paper. And it's like this is going to be fun, so it's just all out. Cyclops, Wolverine, ripping through the bad guys. Perfection. Look at that, what a beautiful spread. Cyclops and Logan, Scott Summers and Wolverine back together, besties again. Well, I hope they're besties again. Let's find out. First we gotta get through some more fighting scenes. I'm loving this dark red going down in the night. And then, well, just bodies there. It's beautiful. It's just simple. This is just them. Logan, Slim. Now that we're all caught up, let's get back to work. Okay, the second story is Wolverine's Returned. Not returned. And where you got Wolverine behind that guy. He tells him to wait. Sorry, my voice was going there. And you can see that it's Kid Cable in there. He even calls him, "Oh, you're trying to kill your old man," sorry. Okay, so Logan is pretty much straight off, he's gonna go. So Kid Cable says, you know, I need him to look out for him. You know, bad stuff's happening. And he's gotta leave, so he can't watch him. So help. Come on, Logan, come back to the fray. So Wolverine pops around to see Madrox, and we see Layla Miller. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. I have not seen Layla Miller since the end of that X Factor, and you know, it's like, what happened? Because we saw all those Jamies dead during the death of X storyline, and it's kind of cool to see her. If she's been in something else, please tell me, because I would like to catch up on that. So in the sewers, we find Wolverine, and we find these guys. It looks like they're hunting Wolverine. Wolverine gets his claws dirty, as you could expect. Okay, and pretty much they're just out to kill any mutants down here, especially the blind one, as he put it. And pretty much Callisto comes in and says, you know, these are the same guys who were part on your lawn, the ONE, during the decimation. And it was a good thing, because when the X-Men were here, they were actually scared of us. Now they're not. And after the X-Men versus Legion war, they're just all out killing mutants, basically. So Wolverine gets a little bit of help and a little bit more information on what's going on with Blindfold, and that she doesn't want to be found, but she did like being around other mutants. So meanwhile, sitting in the park, Blindfold and Logan just happened to meet. Seems a bit coincidental, but with Blindfold it probably isn't. And she says that people pay money to abuse her powers or something like that. As you can imagine, Blindfold, confusing. It's right there. Tell me what you think. Now this is all interesting. So pretty much, you know, Blindfold is saying that, you know, Scott is going to need some help. And pretty much Wolverine saying, you know, he doesn't want to be Scott Summers' keeper, etc. And Blindfold, interestingly, says, well, you know, often he was yours, you know, can't return the favor, etc. So this is all about Wolverine being, you need to help Scott Summers, because otherwise, if Blindfold wasn't here, I don't think it would happen. Anyway, things clearly going on with Blindfold, and she says she's going to have a bath, and she's saying that, you know, they won't see each other again, and goodbye, Logan. So back to the hate rally. So there's Cap running in, and pretty much Buck and Black Widow say, you know, sneak up on you, old man. And he's like, nope, just didn't care. So they just have a conversation about how things have changed, and you know, there's a lot of mutant issues going on, and they're just keeping the peace. So what's this about for you? And pretty much he says, same, I'm just about keeping the peace and watching my own. So the hate rally kicks off with Cyclops' optic blasts, and that says, this is your way out. This is your way to have peace, finally. Don't get caught up in Scott's war. So they're all thinking Scott's going to start a war, which is kind of cool. That's how much they fear him, I guess. So, meanwhile, Wolverine clearly made a promise. So back to where we expect with Cyclops back at Winchester in a different uniform. He's in that new X-Men cool leather kit going on. And pretty much these guys are in the background saying, hey, who's going to take him out first, etc. As they're all having a little joke, as they were. So, is Wolverine gonna stand aside and let it happen, or is he gonna interfere? So this is the bit that changes his mind when these guys are saying, you know, we're gonna kill you and stuff like that. And it's like, what's it like knowing that you failed? That's it, and that all your friends died, and you're just gonna die alone. Wolverine's like, he ain't alone. He's my bestie. Okay, so Blindfold is with Gabriel, and it's called, sorry, The Last Blindfold Story. And he's saying we need to go to the Morlocks tunnels, and what about Lau? It's like laugh out loud with an A. And she's dead. Okay, so it appears that Blindfold is caught between futures and now, etc. However, she knows that she needs to see Cyclops, so it all starts to come together, I feel, in this story, where you start getting a glimpse of she set certain things in motion to perhaps guide Cyclops and Wolverine towards each other. And she buys a lottery ticket so she can get a nice house to die in, so which is quite interesting. And I guess this is, I'm not sure if this is the past or now. That could be the future. She's got a nice meal going on, some Chinese, and there's another scene there. And Jamie rocks up and says, you know, Cyclops is looking for you, and I brought pizza, and I'm going to eat some pizza. So this is interesting. So she says, you could tell him he could see me, but I won't see him. And it's kind of a bit strange. So we see this bit that she's running her future. And she says that she likes Madrox and she's sorry what's going to happen to him. So something's going to happen. And she says, just tell Layla that I'm sorry, even though she's never met Layla. She says in an earlier part of this issue. And then you got Wolverine overlooking in the background. Okay, and we see reaccounts of the conversation she had with Cyclops earlier in the issue. And with Wolverine in the issue. But what do they mean? So she clearly got battered. Bringing them together, perhaps at Winchester. I'm not entirely sure. And then she ended up in her bath, or bloody, etc. And it's not suicide. She just died. Okay, for all of those that read this issue, tell me what on earth is going on, because I have no idea. The end. You know what? I think she did commit suicide, because this being in here, that tells me that it happened. And, you know, lots of people die from suicide. You know, they can't cope with their lives, which is sad. Sad. Very sad. And I hope those who feel suicidal get the help or talk to somebody. You know, there's lots of people out there that want to help people. Talk to people, because sometimes that's all you need is somebody to talk to. So, a very cool issue to reunite Cyclops and Wolverine. They're back together, and hopefully they are going to reform some sort of X-Men team. And I look forward to the next few issues that are coming up. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, SmurredP. I'm on Twitter at SmurredP. No idea what I'm doing. And embrace the geekiness. Goodbye.